Gadget UK here again. In order to try and diagnose what's wrong with the Z80 communication error on this MV-1FZ, I've done a few things. Got an Atmel AT27C1024 which I've programmed with the diagnostics ROM, and that's plugged into the main board at the moment. I tested that works, but to test the Z80 you need a char board with the M1 ROM replaced. So I've put the M1 Z80 diagnostics ROM onto a 27C020. And you're supposed to use a 27C010, which is 128K chip. The image is 128K, 8-bit. This is a 256K chip. One of the address lines won't be used. I'm suspecting there's probably no connection on there, or it's probably pushed to ground. So what I've done is take the 128K image, put it in a hex editor, and copy it, paste it twice effectively, so you've got the same image in both the upper 128K and the lower 128K. So as you can see, just desoldering that, so it'll take about 30 or 40 seconds to do one side. Just do the other side, finish the rest of the side off, and then I'll just solder that chip in. There's not enough room in there for a socket, unfortunately. Luckily it's only soldered on one side, you can see there's no connections, I don't think. There might be the odd one on that side, but it looks like it's just on that side where the solder pads are for that particular chip. Ultimately what I'm going to do, once I've sorted all this out, I'll take the chip back off, and this 128K image, what I'll do is I'll dump the image that's on there. I'll do a checksum, check against it, against a known sort of emulator copy I've got of that particular image, just to make sure that what's on there is correct. Dump it and erase this EEPROM, and then what I'll do is I'll create an image that has the lower 128K with the diagnostics ROM and the upper 128K with the puzzle bobble, because that's what this board is, puzzle bobble, the image off that EEPROM there. So you've got, let's say the lower half of it will be the diagnostics and the upper half will be puzzle bobble, and then I'm going to mount a jumper or something somewhere on this board so that you can switch between the two with a jumper, whether you want it as a diagnostics ROM or whether you want it back as the original game. So anyway, let's get that chip swapped out now. Right, so I've desoldered all the pins here, and all I'm doing here is just flicking these. You can hear, see it's loose. Just make sure, just really lightly, you don't need to use a lot of force. If you get one that's stuck like that, just give it a light press and there you go, it's free. You need next to nothing because it's just single-sided. That one's a little bit stuck there, I'm going to have to desolder that a little bit more. I think, yeah. I can feel the chip's loose there, it's just coming off. Well, you can see that straight off, no problems at all. So, let's give it a brush down, just make sure you've got no bits of solder anywhere on there. And I'll just solder the chip on and we'll give it a go. Okay, that's the output there for testing with that cart. It's saying Z80 dead/error/com issue, which expected C3 actual 0. I need to have a look on the website just to read a little bit more, just to see if it gives me any more information, those two values there, but the fact it's got 0, I guess this Z80 is doing nothing. You can see I've loosely sort of supported that in there at the moment. I'm now going to just put something under that just to support it, retry it just to make sure, but it looks like I've got a dead Z80. Very odd. Right, just thought I'd have a go at cleaning that cart up while I was in there. And when I look at the state of this, it's just absolutely unbelievable. The crap that's come off these boards, you can see that there's still a bit of residue there, and it's the white, but and there were quite a lot of solder joints where they've been touched up, particularly that chip there. And there was some really large, in fact there's still one there now, I can see really large blobs of solder, and I've sucked it all off and resoldered some of those pins. There's one there. Anyway, yeah, so I've cleaned it all up and put some covers over the EEPROMs. I haven't done that one because that's the one that's going to come back off when I merge the puzzle bobble ROM as described earlier with that. But yeah, it's worth doing these because one of the things, I noticed a few things actually on this board, not only the large blobs of solder, but there's bits of solder actually stuck on the board, fragments that had fallen off when someone's touched this up or done other work to it in the past or whatever, even when it was initially assembled. And I couldn't believe how many bits of solder there were on both sides of this stuck on it. And just to show you, I found the same thing on the other board, and just take a look at this. I don't know whether this is going to come out. Can you see that blob? Yeah, my finger is. It's like well and truly on there. You know, you would think, is it a via? Is it a configuration point? I don't think it is. I think that'll probably just come off. It shouldn't be there. And it's right across, you know, a couple of tracks. And there were quite a few of those on the other side as well, just stuck on. Might just touch the iron on that just to get that off there. It could even be a broken trace that someone put a blob on. I honestly don't know. I'll take a look at that. If it is a trace, I'll report back, but assuming I don't mention it again in a few more minutes, it's just crap that's on the board. So I'll cover these other EEPROMs up and then we're pretty much done. I've already cleaned the case up. Yeah, as you can see, clean the case up. Just some hot soapy water, a bit of H2O2 just to get some of the yellowness out of it, and it's come out pretty well, really. You know, they still look a little bit yellowish, you know, in certain angles and things, but you know, compared to what they were, they're almost back to transparent. Well, of all the fucked up designs I've ever seen for anything like this, I don't know if you can see, I've had to resolder those 2 points. It wasn't just a blob of solder. Somebody had actually scratched a couple of tracks, shorted them together deliberately. And I don't know whether you can see this. I'll see if I can point with a probe. If I can get it on the camera. Where the hell? Is it? Here we go. Right, can you see this point here? It goes over here somewhere. I can't see the damn thing now. I'm just trying to look through the lens at the same time. Sorry, this point here. This point goes up there to that hole. See, someone's, you know, the design, obviously they've cut through that hole, which separates those tracks. And the track that it separates it from, if you follow it down, it leads there, sort of round the corner, and it's actually the second track, you know, sort of in parallel to the first, and that's why they've been shorted, because obviously that shouldn't have happened in the manufacturing of this. Almost like maybe configuration points or something. They drill particular holes according to whatever board design it is. So somebody soldered that, you know, there was just a blob of solder. What I've done is just cut a piece of wire, just bent it upwards there and just soldered that on, just for my own sanity really, so that whenever I see that in future I'll go, okay, yeah, I know what that is. And if anybody else sees this, should I sell this on, they'll know that that has been done legitimately. There's not, it's not accidental. But yeah, I'm surprised at that. Just had an idea, and take a look at what I found on an old Game Gear. And you can see this. It's a T84C00AM-6, which is exactly what I believe I need for this Neo Geo now, a Z80. And I know that this works, or the sound works, at least on the other screen. It's faulty. There's a burn in the ribbon that I can see. Well, with a lot of messing about, I've managed to get this Z80 off there. It looks a bit of a mess at the moment, just because it got a load of flux and stuff all over it. Pins are dead straight. Nothing, they're not bent or anything like that. There's just bits of solder and stuff on there that needs to be cleaned off. But if I hold this up to the light, you probably can't see this. It's not going to come out very well, I don't think. But effectively, well, I use the desoldering station as well. The heat. When you start flood soldering the pins like I did on the Neo Geo board when I did the SRAM, it absorbs quite a lot of heat, and that 15 watt iron's not enough, so I had to get me the soldering station out just to add a bit more heat. But yeah, I just use the same technique of flood filling both sides, flood fill both sides, lever, you know, just hold it under there, because I'm not bothered about damaging this board. So in fact it didn't damage anyway, but you know, I didn't damage any pads, but yeah, that's how I did it. I leave it up one side, then leave it up the other side, then use the desoldering station to remove the solder, and it's totally straight. Pins are nice and flat, not bent in the slightest. So when I've got better daylight, you know, better light, because it's, you know, in the day, it's I'll have another go, because it's too dark in here tonight. I hate this time of year for electronics and stuff. You don't get very many hours in the day, but yeah, I think once I get the old one off the board, stick this on, and clean this up, because it's got loads of flux stuck on top of it and stuff, it should hopefully spring back into life. As you can see, I've just removed the Z80 from there. Just need to clean that up a little bit. So it's not focusing very well. Right, well, there's the Z80 back on. Needs cleaning up a bit. Some of the solder smoothing down there. There's a bit of a dark spot there with a bit of flux still stuck on top. But as you can see, or here I should say, we have sound. Right, so I've just swapped out the Unibios for the diagnostics ROM. So what I'm going to do is put the buzz bubble cart in there, which has currently got the M1 diagnostics ROM on. I'm just going to test the Z80 properly. So to do this, I think it says hold down start and select a soft reset. To test the Z80, hold down D. So I'll hold down D, start and reset, release. All tests passed. So looks like we're fine. Let's try that again. So that's without sound. Hold down D with sound. Sorry, I didn't hold down D then. I'll try it again. All tests passed. So let's try a game in it. Down a little bit. Right, so it's in arcade mode. Well, I would say that's resolved. It's hard to believe, really. It is hard to believe how many problems this board has had. Z80, incidentally, is 6 MHz version. I'll just show you actually on a few things on the board now. So, right, so as you can see, I've got the Unibios back on there. The diagnostics ROM, I put that onto an Atmel AT27C1024, as I mentioned earlier. This is actually an OTP EEPROM, or an OTP PROM. It's not really an EEPROM. Some people might class that as a mask ROM. And I think it's interesting actually, because on these carts, a lot of people say, you know, the chips that are on there, the mask ROMs, they're not really what I would class as a mask ROM. They're actually like this, one-time programmable part where, you know, it's been programmed. It's a standard part number. You know, you can look up the part number and it'll tell you how many kilobits it can hold and whether it's 8-bit, 16-bit, etc. But typically the one-time program chips, there's the Toshiba ones that you get on those on the game carts. So anyway, that's what that is. So obviously I can't reprogram that. It was only about I think it was £3.99, whereas these 1024 EEPROMs on eBay are selling for about £10 each. It's ridiculous. So it was better. It was more cost effective, and I'm not. You know, I'm going to use this time and again probably on different boards. I've got a spare parts board coming for this in order that I can swap out the. Has it gone now? The Neo C1 chip. Can't even see the damn thing, it's that one. I need to swap out that Neo C1 chip. I've got a few bits of work on this. I still need to clean up the pins on this, the 2 SRAMs, tidy up pins on that Z80, and I've done a bit of work on that chip there. It's relatively clean. There were some really grey points on there, but yeah. Anyway, so in general, this board's had quite a bit of things done to it really when you look at it, because someone originally socketed the VRAM, so that's been replaced. It's now had a Z80. I've had to swap the SRAM, one of the SRAMs. In fact, both those SRAMs were alright, so probably didn't need doing, but that certainly the 74LS32 needed doing. And I've still got the input problem with the C1. So yeah, it's amazing just how many faults there have been on this this board. But anyway, it's been a good learning exercise. I don't know if you can see this. I've shown this on the videos before, but yeah, where you clean these connectors up. Best way is to use an eraser. Sometimes I give it a wipe if it's really dirty, you know, visibly, you know, got loads of gunk or something. I'll wipe it with some isopop first, then use the eraser, and then probably even use it with the isopop afterwards. And you'll find you do get 2 layers of crap off it. If I turn this upside down, I don't think you can see. I don't know what's coming out. Can you see the bottom pins there just really dark where it's making contact? And of course, just, you know, lightly using the eraser there. It's non-abrasive. It'll remove any oxidization, any oils and things that have settled on there from contact, and hopefully you can start to see it cleans them up quite nicely. Hopefully there'll be a bit of a contrast there between the area I've done and the area I haven't. See that? It's like still pretty dirty there, nice and clean there. Still needs a bit more work there. But as I'll show you on the other side, just use a bit of isopropyl on this. That side's already been cleaned, but after giving it a wipe with the isopropyl here, it's not coming out too bad actually. That sometimes you get a black, it comes out black, pretty black on there, so it's pretty clean. So it was literally just that surface oxidisation or whatever that came off with the eraser, and that did the job. Didn't really need to give it a wipe with the isopropyl, but often that does, you know, when you do wipe it with the isopropyl afterwards, even though it looks really shiny, really clean, you find you get a black, you know, really black sort of dirt come off on there. But and that's all non-abrasive, so that's the best way to do these. I'm doing this on Top Players Golf now, which I'm just about to leave on test in the Neo Geo. And the reason I'm doing this, cleaning this board up now, I'm just inspecting it, is because this was the board that was in there when it failed, and I've not really used this board for more than a few minutes. So I'm just a little bit paranoid that... and one thing I do know, incidentally, with this board, when I first plugged it in, I had some graphical corruptions and things, so it's the slots. As soon as I wiggle the slot around, put it in, you know, put the card in and out a few times, graphical problems went away, and it was fine. And I've had that a few times as I've taken it out and put it back in. You know, then it'll be have graphical problems. Plug it back in again, and it's all right. So clearly, you know, these cards needed some attention. I'm looking at the edges, at the edge connectors of these. They are really, really dirty. The side I've done, incidentally, was the worst one of the four edges. That side's, like I say, partly done now. I just need to finish it off, but I'm not sure how well that's coming out. Can you see? Just like, it's really black. You know, it's really black at the bottom there, just from you know, being sat in the machine for a period of decades probably. The boards themselves look alright, no dry joints. There's no rogue solder blobs as there were in that puzzle bobble cart. So yeah, I'll just finish cleaning it up, plug it back into the Neo Geo, and leave it on test for a few hours. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.